Friends, my journey started in November 2014 when I attended a Quaker conference entitled "Food Banks Are Not Enough." And as we upheld the clerks writing the minute, I found I was being led to take action. But what action? Friends, is it right that in a society that expects everyone of working age to work, that 22% of our working population do not earn enough to live on? The government's national living wage and minimum wages are not based on the cost of living, but the real living wage is. The slide behind me shows that the real living wage currently pays 95p an hour more outside London and £2.25 an hour more to London workers, both payments irrespective of age. So being paid a real living wage makes a huge difference to families. For us, addressing wage poverty seemed an appropriate way forward. A small group established to test this leading, and we began to gather information to set up a campaign. And that brought me into contact with a number of organisations. I discovered that the Living Wage Foundation has undertaken research amongst businesses already paying the real living wage, which highlights significant benefits to the businesses as well as to the employees. The Equality Trust monthly newsletter collates research undertaken by the Joseph Rowntree Trust, the Resolution Foundation, government departments, and other useful reports. And all this material enabled us to develop documents to hand out to the public, including quotations from employers and employees. All these materials, incidentally, are available on our website. We used the lead up to Christmas 2014 to witness in the city centre each Saturday, and we were joined by many Lancaster friends. We observed that our leaflets were being read and found none of them on the pavements when we finished. Some, we were told, would find their way onto notice boards in workplaces. The stories we heard from people who thanked us for speaking out about wage poverty really confirmed that the Spirit had led us to the right course of action. In Quaker Equality Week 2015, we made promoting the real living wage the theme for action. Lancaster Meeting House is very well used by the community, and so we mounted a display in the entrance hall. That stimulated conversations. I had been a member of the Cooperative Society for as long as I can remember, and I was horrified to find that they did not, and still do not, pay the real living wage. So that week we started a letter-writing campaign to the cooperative group. And we like to think that our letters have provoked the organisation to start thinking about payment of the real living wage and reducing the remuneration package of their CEO. We are delighted to hear that they are now in discussions with the Living Wage Foundation. There was a Manchester gathering in June 2015 to review Quaker Equality Week, and we reported on our activities. Lancaster Meeting was invited to consider leading a Quaker Living Wage campaign, and Meeting discerned that it would. Our campaign group grew, and we decided we had to put our own house in order first if we were going to have any credibility working with others. We encouraged our area meeting trustees to follow through, becoming an accredited living wage employer. Then we could set about encouraging the rest of our Quaker community to join us, for it would be only then that Quakers could really witness and speak to businesses beyond friends. Our area meeting became accredited in 2015. We set up a meeting with staff from the Living Wage Foundation to explain the campaign we were embarking upon across Britain yearly meeting. It was to be the start of an interesting and fruitful relationship. We explained some of our Quaker employment practices. The concept of giving service as a volunteer warden or as a friend in residence they found baffling. And the practice of providing free accommodation and payment of utility bills in exchange for duties was met with incomprehension, that anyone would work for no actual money. The Living Wage Foundation was keen to work with us, and we were quite keen to work with them, as we felt it might give us a way of influencing some of their accreditation policies. We were invited to partner with them, but we found we couldn't sign the partnership agreement presented to us. Whilst we were content to work as they asked, working in a spirit of collaboration, mutual respect and trust, recognizing that everyone has a valuable contribution to make, could any friend disagree with that? Some of the language used in the document and the restrictions put on what we could do needed negotiation. We were invited to revise the partnership agreement. So what did we need to change? The agreement required us to be open to any newcomers from our locality. We wanted to be a Quaker group. Our clause opens membership of the campaign group to members and attenders of any Quaker meeting. We were required to act within the law. We explained our Quaker history of challenging the law and breaking the law to speak truth to power. We removed that clause. We were not to apply for charitable status. Area meetings are already registered charities, so that clause had to be removed. Words such as win were replaced by encourage. And Quaker business methods were inserted. And we made it clear that we were working within our Quaker community and not just with businesses. And finally, we needed to reserve the right to lay down the Quaker National Living Wage Campaign group, hoping that there would come a time when our objective to build a Quaker living wage community would be achieved. In late 2015, we became partners with the Living Wage Foundation, and the materials, support, and enthusiasm that we get from them has been invaluable. Friends, collaborating with others to build a movement can lead to unforeseen questioning of one's own practices. Working with the Living Wage Foundation has led us to examine more closely Quaker employment practices in relation to wardens. We've asked the question, is it right to have wardens given free accommodation but no pay? Could meetings consider free accommodation as, for example, payment for a caretaking role and pay the real living wage for the time spent carrying out other duties? Should friends be examining if it's appropriate to continue to seek wardens from just amongst our membership at a time when 150 families each week are turned out of their homes for defaulting on payments due to low wages and housing freeze and the housing benefit freeze? Perhaps area meetings might be willing to discern further their current practices. These questions are not necessarily for the present consideration, but are examples of how our thinking has been changed by working with the Living Wage Foundation. Friends, working so closely with them to build a Quaker living wage community is proving to be both challenging and rewarding.